Brought to you by 1AAuto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet.
Hi, I'm Mike from 1A Auto. I hope this how-to video helps you out. And next time you need parts for your vehicle, think of 1AAuto.com. Thanks.
In this video, we're going to show you how to service the front brakes on this 2000 Buick LeSabre. Pretty much the same for any 2000 to 2005. Ends up that this vehicle has very good brakes on it, so we do just take them apart and put them back together for you. New brakes are available at 1AAuto.com. Tools you'll need are jack and jack stands, 15 and 19 millimeter sockets, a ratchet with a pipe or a breaker bar for some extra leverage on some of those bolts, large flat blade screwdriver, wire brush, some grease, a large C-clamp, and a torque wrench.
On this LeSabre, you remove this center hubcap, just pull firmly. Okay. Now you'll want to loosen the lug nuts. If you don't have air tools, you'll want to loosen your lug nuts with the wheel on the ground, then raise and support the vehicle. Okay, and then remove the lug nuts and wheel the rest of the way.
Now fast forward here as I use a 19 millimeter socket with an impact wrench and remove the lug nuts and the wheel and tire, and then just turn the suspension so that I can get a good look at the brakes.
Okay, it would appear that the brakes have been done recently on this vehicle, and I can tell because here's the metal of the brake pad, here's the brake pad itself, and then here's your rotor, and you can see that there's a good, probably 3/8 of an inch of pad there, which is plenty of life. And then on the outer pad, same thing, it's nice and thick. The rotors, you want to kind of try and do an inspection, run the back of your fingernail along them, and you shouldn't feel any, you'll feel very, very small grooves, but you shouldn't feel any large grooves. And then the condition of the rotors up here looks pretty good. A little bit rusty, but not too bad. Still nice and thick. So it looks like these brakes are good, but we'll show you how to take them apart and put them back together, just so you have the information. Okay, to get the brakes apart, first you're going to remove two 15 millimeter bolts here and here. Okay, you should be able to use a 15 millimeter socket with a ratchet. And these should come apart with some force, but they should come apart pretty easy.
Okay, and I'll speed up here as I loosen the top one and take both those bolts out, and I'll show you them in a minute. The bolts are actually the items that the calipers slide on as well, so I'll show a little close up to you.
Okay, and these are slides. When you take them apart, you want to note their condition. These probably should be just cleaned up and put a little bit of grease onto them.
And we'll speed it up here again as I just finish removing the upper bolt out of the top.
Okay, take a large screwdriver, put it right in here, and pry out. And that actually forces the piston back into. That actually forces the piston back into the caliper a little bit.
Okay, so you can see I use the screwdriver, pry out on the caliper a little bit, and that loosens it up enough so I can get the caliper up and off, and then I just kind of hang it up on the strut. And I'll show you that right there.
Now your brake pads really easily just kind of pry out. And as I said, plenty of life left in these pads. The back one, same thing, just kind of pulls right out the back side. Okay, if you did need to replace the rotor, you'd want to remove these two bolts here. I'm using my socket again and a ratchet. Use a breaker bar or a piece of pipe. Okay, a piece of pipe helps you get some extra leverage, and just push nice and firm until you start getting them loose.
Fast forward here as I use the ratchet and pipe to loosen up the top one, and then take both of the bolts out.
rotor comes right off.
Okay, now we're going to show you how to put the brakes back together. As you can see, there's a nice new hub on this vehicle. That actually turned out to be what the car needed. So we actually did a hub replacement, and you can see that video on our other videos. But we decided to do this brake video to help you out as well while we were doing the hub.
Okay. Rotor goes back on. Okay, before you put this caliper bracket back on, take a wire brush and make sure these are all nice and clean.
And in particular, that you're cleaning the grooves where the brake pads sit and slide.
So this part goes between the rotor and the steering knuckle. Okay. And the bolt goes to the steering knuckle first, then into the caliper bracket. Start my lower one. I'll start my upper one.
And speed it up here as I just kind of preliminarily tighten those two bolts up.
And now we'll torque these to 80 foot-pounds. Okay, bring your caliper down, you'll take a large C-clamp and put it into the piston, and this just resets the piston all the way back into the caliper. And just make sure that it's on the flat part of the back side, it's not on the hose or anything. Okay, and as you tighten it up, it forces the piston back into the caliper.
Okay, I'll just speed it up as I back the C-clamp off and remove it.
Okay, put it down, make sure your hose isn't twisted. You might want to pull these kind of grommets in a little bit. Okay, put your caliper down on. Make sure that those aren't bunched up. Here are my slides. I cleaned them up, put a little light coat of grease on them. The lower one came out with this sleeve, so I took that off, cleaned it all out, put a little bit of grease on the inside, on the outside of it. Okay, so put our brake pads back on. The back one's just kind of slides right in. This front one kind of push down in a little bit diagonally. Put it in. Our top one back in first. Start it a little bit. Now our bottom one.
And I'll fast forward again as I just kind of preliminarily tighten those bolts.
Okay, torque these to about 50 foot-pounds.
Okay, and apologize for the low volume. 50 foot-pounds is what you want to torque those to. Okay, speed up here as we put the wheel and tire back on, and then just start the lug nuts by hand and then tighten them preliminarily with the impact wrench.
And torque your lug nuts to 100 foot-pounds using a star pattern.
Okay, and we'll speed up the tape as we torque up the lug nuts.
And anytime you take the brakes apart, make sure that you pump your pedal a whole bunch of times until it gets firm, and then do test stops from 5 and 10 miles an hour. Make sure the brakes are working correctly before you road test your vehicle.
We hope this helps you out. Brought to you by www.1aauto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet. Please feel free to call us toll-free 888-844-3393. We're the company that's here for you on the internet and in person.